gon' put in work, clocking overtime, always on our grind, in a state of mind. We gon' put in work.
What's going on, everybody? It's your man, DJ Swamp Thing, president of Always Working Radio. This is another episode of What's Your Hustle, a podcast where I get the opportunity to introduce to you some great people that are both in the artistic world and the business professional world. And I got a great one today, banger. I'm telling you, you're going to love this. Artistic Genius is in the house. What's happening?
What's going on, y'all? What's good?
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here.
Man, listen, appreciate you tapping in. So we're going to jump right into it. Let everybody know what's your hustle.
Oh, man. So my hustle is a long list of things, but I'll just start and say that I am a multi-talented artist, visual artist, writer, poet, author. I do a little bit of everything, photography, but what I've been focused on the most, what hustle I've been focused on the most, I would say, is painting and poetry.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay. No doubt. Now, is there, out of those two, is there one that kind of outweighs the other, or is the love one and the same? How does that work for you?
You know, it's a little tough to balance it all. I would say just because I find myself, giving so much time to one and then kind of neglecting the other. So I kind of have to find that balance. But I would say that when it comes to like a release or really like connecting with people, that would have to be poetry for sure. Being able to perform that and to write my feelings down, write others' feelings down, and actually express that. I think that gives me a completely different feeling than painting does. When I'm painting, I'm just like in my zen, like I'm relaxed, I'm actually connecting with myself in a different way.
Got you.
So it's really, really calming. Whereas sometimes poetry will bring the nerves, but in the good way. It will bring the adrenaline. So it's definitely two different things, but I love them both the same. They just give me a different mood.
Got you. I love that. So speaking on poetry, how long have you been a poet?
Ooh, I would say it's been a while since I've been a performing poet. I would say it's been about maybe 13, 14 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I've been a writer since I was 13. So, I was always writing something, and I was writing poetry or journaling, and I didn't really know what I was doing because I was doing it as a release, and it turned into this poetic life that I have today.
Yeah.
So very grateful for those stepping stones for sure.
So I want to get into some of the poetry events that you do, but kind of segueing into that, was there a time in your mind where you said, you know what, I want to not only share my poetry with others, but I want others to do the same. Like, when did that conversion come? Because I know, as a creative myself, you kind of want to feel like you've mastered the craft in a way where you even feel like you want to even present in front of a group of people,
right.
Often, right? So when was that for you? When was that comfortable? When you felt that comfortable, be like, you know what? I want to really go out here and share my talent with the world.
So that started back in 2013. My sister started a nonprofit called Speak, and it was Silence Prevents Education and Knowledge. And she had that nonprofit, and I got an idea, and I felt inspired to actually provide a platform for people to dance, to sing, to do poetry. So we would hold that, like, I think it was every first Sunday of the month.
Okay.
And that gave people in the inner city a place to just go for safety, to go and express themselves. And I think it was that moment that really gave me a higher purpose when it came to poetry, because I wanted to provide people with that safe space. So that was the seed that was planted. So I did that between like 2013 and 2015.
Okay.
And then not too long after, I joined the military, and I kind of started to lose my artistic roots a little bit. And then I moved to Columbus after a deployment, and I really, really started to like get back into pushing my poetry. And then I said, you know, it's time for me to start something else, because I want to give especially those underdog artists that don't really get the visibility that they need. So I'm trying to push those poets and really like get them, you know, broadcasted in such a way that could help them, you know, because I knew that I needed that when I first started.
Sure.
You know, those poets that are just getting started, you know, it's kind of hard because I don't want to say it's saturated, but you see those poets that are always, you know, in the limelight. And it's like sometimes you can get a little discouraged, like, dang, why am I not in that light? You know what I'm saying? When you really want to get your work out there, you know, and of course it takes hard work, but it also takes like connections. So I think with the connections that I have, I'm able to provide that a lot more. So for me, like I said, it's all about a safe space, being able to connect with those artists, and the space that we have it in. Say Word is a Black-owned art studio, woman-owned as well,
Yeah.
by Ludi Senatus, and great artists. And that space is just different from other spaces. And when you walk in there, and just the vibe and being able to be in an intimate space and share poetry and be safe and actually, you know, just vibe with people on a different level, I think is not like other spaces in Columbus.
Yeah, you said a couple of interesting things, and I want to point out one specifically because this is important to me as well, and some of my network circles, and that is, you know, when you have a lot of people who are doing kind of the same thing, like there's a lot of poets, there's a lot of DJs, there's a lot of blah
Yeah.
blah blah. You always need that one person that'll say, you know what, I understand that there's such a great need. Let me open the door for another flood of poets to come in and be able to do their thing without having to worry about, as you said, you know, being kind of, I don't want to say a back burner, but maybe overshadowed by some of those poets who are always getting booked, who are always on stage. You know what, let me provide an opportunity, a space, as you said, a safe space to those who can also grow in their own light and be around others who are in that same circle, trying to move up the creative ladder, and especially in a city like Columbus where the creative, right, and then still be able to do that. Now, how was that transition? Because I want to give you kudos for that too, because again, I can empathize for that. That's not easy, having to move as a creative to another creative city where a lot of things are kind of already laid down. You have to kind of create your own path. You know, how was that transition for you?
It was interesting, I would say, because I've only been here for about a year, and I would say, you know, God has really blessed me, and I believe in God, I believe in manifesting, and I set my intentions early on before I moved to Columbus, and I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew, you know, the kind of people that I wanted to connect with. So when I came here, my goal was to connect with as many creatives as I could. So I was popping up at spaces that I never heard about, just on Eventbrite, and shaking people's hands and performing for free, and, you know, just making that connection so that, you know, eventually, like, a lot of those people can be in spaces that I'm in, or, you know, that I've created, as well as I can be in those spaces that they created. So really it was like every week I was somewhere new, every single week. And I slowly started to see, like, okay, I'm building these connections. And then, like, I just got that, you know, that intuition that it was time to start mine. Because I saw that there was a lack, not that there weren't any spaces, but I saw that there were not a lot of consistent spaces, and I saw that there were no spaces like the one that I have.
Gotcha.
So I saw that, and I said, okay, I need to bridge this gap. And I also saw that there were not a lot of underground poets that were featuring.
Right.
So a couple poets that we feature, we only had a few shows, but some of the poets that we have featured, that was their first time featuring.
Right.
So to be able to have that builds confidence.
Absolutely.
And it also gets you to, you know, different networks on social media. And because I'm connected with a lot of people, you know, on social media from different platforms all over the world. So I think that also gave, you know, a push for them to be like, okay, like, you know, this is really something that I could do, because you could be doing poetry for years and never get that feature spot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it makes you feel like, you know, like a little discouraged.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it took some time for me to build that community, but it didn't take as long as maybe it would have took some other people,
Right.
just because I knew what I wanted to do. I knew my intention, I knew the purpose, and I was very, very serious about it. So I was very fortunate to be able to do it in such a fast timing, honestly.
Yeah. And you were very transparent about it as well, because I personally, you know, myself and of course, you know, Tiffany, you know, we were able to see the promo from the first show that you
Hmm.
did here. We were actually fortunate enough to attend as well. And we were glad we did, you know, because again, you saw the intent. It was very clear about what your purpose was. As you said, you know, a lot of those artists that were there, you know, it might have been either their first time featuring or their first time in a long time, even being that in that environment. I agree with you about the setting and the venue was very what's the word I'm looking for? It was different. That's not the word I wanted, but it was different in a good way.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
like, okay, you know, it made you feel good. There was a very calm
Yeah.
atmosphere, you
Yeah.
know, so you created everything that you had in your head. From what I see, that intent was clear, and you can see it without you saying anything, from the promo all the way up to the event. So again, kudos on that. And that is what I would hope others who were in your shoes can take a note and do the same thing. You know, there's a right way and a wrong way to do everything,
Hmm.
right? And I think, you know, knowing the talent you already had, you were still able to be humble enough, you know, to say, hey, I know this is a new city, but I'm not new to the craft. So how can we mix
Oh
the two
yeah,
together?
yeah,
You know what I
for sure.
mean?
Yeah, humility is a big thing for me, because it's like I can't go. I'm not gonna show up in Columbus, and these spaces are already created. These people
Yeah.
already have these platforms. It's
Right.
like I just come in there and like, yeah, I'm about like no, no, like I want to see how we can support each other, you know. And there's been plenty of events that I went to that weren't really my speed, but at the same time, I still supported those shows, just
Sure.
because like I know that, you know, it takes a lot of work to put that on.
Sure.
But I think that sometimes there's a gap when it comes to like why people are doing it. And I think intentionality is the most important thing, because
Mm.
if you want to do a poetry event, but like you've never done poetry before, you don't research, you don't connect with poets, then it's like, what is the intention? You know, at the end of the day, then that sounds like you're just trying to profit off of it.
Right.
This is
Right.
not making me no money. Let me just say that. Let me say that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I put
Yeah.
a lot of my own money into it, which I should, because it is my vision.
Right.
Um, and you know, the ticket sales are just me, you know, recouping what I've
Right.
spent.
Right.
So
Right.
that is never the intention. You know,
Right.
it's always to like inspire, it's always to help somebody, it's always to just get that person that comes and say, like, you know, this really, really helped me tonight. Like, you don't know where I was at mentally, and this really like saved me or helped me. So that is always the purpose for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to get your opinion on this. We're kind of switching gears a little bit. Um, you know, I've been able to see a lot of poets over the years, and one thing that I have concluded, and it's been tested, and folks have said it themselves. I think you have before as well. Poetry really can help with uh, mental awareness, right? And some of the experiences that one would have in their personal life that they can put into, you know, words and pour it out to the masses in poetry form or spoken word. In your opinion, you know, how, and especially because mental awareness is such a thing now, you know, everybody's trying to be more cognizant of mental awareness. How important is spoken word to mental awareness these days, just with everything that's going on in the country, just all of these different things that are happening, the way social media is perceived? You know, how important is spoken word to mental awareness?
For me, it's very important because I really was tell people poetry really saved me. Like being able to express in such a way really saved my life because I come from, a pretty rough background. So I didn't have those outlets, and that was writing was my outlet. And then when
Sure.
I got to actually perform it, I feel like every single time I get on the stage, it heals me a little bit more.
Mhm.
So, I've been through my own personal battles with mental health, and I've always came back to poetry because it's such a relief, and I think that for other people that are afraid to speak, because I get a lot of people that say, well, I write a lot, but I just don't have the courage to actually perform. And it's like
Yeah.
I'm writing because, I'm going through things.
Yeah.
And I think that those people who actually have the courage to speak that, I think it brings awareness. I think that it, showcases some things that people have never heard before,
Sure.
or, it allows them to think about it in a different way when it comes to like, okay, I'm not the only person that's going through this. Like that person like really inspired me in such a way and like actually probably saved my life because
Okay.
we have a connection there, and you don't feel so alone because there's so many poets out here that will, bring that out of you. Even with, poets that I see, like I'm like listening to their poetry, I'm like, you have no idea how you helped me with just a line in a poem.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I think it's very, very important. And I think it will always be, especially for my career, because at the end of the day, like when I need a refuge, that's what I always come back to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's great. I appreciate that answer. And we're gonna stick along those lines, as we talk about poetry. I think that's very important, that craft in general, because of, like you said, with mental health and with being able to express yourself in a way where, you're not being judged, right? People are admiring the confidence just to even get on stage, just to even stand in front of people. We all know, stage fright is a real thing. Uh,
uh-huh.
and one of the things that fascinates me, and I definitely want you to chime in on this too. One of the most fearful things for people is public speaking. Spoken
Yes.
word is just, to me, that is the definition, right? How do you think that, is there a space, as you as a poet for yourself, is there a space that you go to before you even get on stage, or between getting on stage and saying that first line? What is that space that you have to find yourself in order to get over the nerves, get over the jitters? I always say, if you get on stage to do something and you're not nervous, then you need to stop doing it. Like you,
Yes.
I get nervous every time I DJ, and I've been DJing for years. It never
Yeah.
fails. So what is that space that you go to in order to make sure that you deliver in the way that you want to?
Oh, well, I'm very serious about like my process. I'm not speaking to anybody right before I perform, really, unless it's like an absolute need. I
Yeah,
try to rest my voice, and be really like intentional about like where I am mentally, because at the end of the day, I don't want anybody to think that it's just me on the stage. Like this is not something that comes from just me.
hmm,
So I pray. I don't eat anything. I refuse to eat before I perform.
hmm,
Um, and I think I really like just sit there before I perform, when I'm at the venue, before I get to the venue, and I'm just praying like, God, let them see you through me, because it's not about me. It's about like who can I reach in that moment with that poem, because I've heard the poems over and over. I continuously
sure,
heal my own self,
right.
but I'm doing it for that reason, is so that somebody else can be reached by it. Um, so I would say that every single time I get nervous, there's not a time that I go on a stage where I'm not nervous. I have really bad anxiety, and people may not be able to tell,
Sure,
but it's because once I start speaking, like those kind of start to leave me. You know what I'm saying?
right.
But I do recognize that if prior to me performing, I'm not in a good mental space, it's harder for me to actually project the way that I want to,
Yeah,
because I haven't been able to be settled, and sometimes you can go into a space and the energy feels different. So you have to combat that as well
yeah,
when it comes
yeah.
to performing because this may not be a space that I'm used to performing in. I performed at bars before. That does not settle me. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot going on.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, who am I here to reach? You know, and I know somebody there, but at the end of the day, it's like, it's a different kind of energy for me. So I just really, really take time to like just be quiet, hear God, and remind myself why I'm doing it.
Yeah. Is there, or maybe there is, and I'm not aware, but is there any opportunity in your mind in the future to put your spoken word in a book or become an author in that
Oh yeah,
in that
I'm
space?
already
Okay,
yeah.
see, go ahead. Talk
Oh,
about it. Talk about it.
so I've already published. So I've self-published a book about 2-3 years ago. That was not a poetry book. That was a book about my life.
Okay.
Prior to that, I had published 2 poetry books. I have 2 compilation books as well
Right.
that I contributed to. So I think I do want do another book, but I think that I'm still waiting for that. I would say that not inspiration, but I'm waiting for the moment that it's like, okay, it's time, because I have so much work.
Yeah.
But when I produced those books, I was so young. Like when I first started writing and stuff like that, I did my first book in 2013, my second book in 2015.
Okay.
So I was still understanding like how to publish and how to actually formally write poetry books.
Yeah.
But I have authored and I want to continue
Okay.
to do that. But I think that I don't want to do it in the like cookie cutter poetry way. Like
Sure.
I want people to read my books and hear me speaking.
Mhm.
I like the haikus and things like that, but that's not the kind of writer that I am.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I think that it's just right now it's just a timing thing, and I'm just waiting, for that right time to
Okay,
produce
well,
something else.
we're looking for it. We're looking for it. Definitely looking
Yeah.
for it. So this is a question I ask every single guest that I have. It's my closing question because the answer is so different from everybody, and that is, with the successes you had, just as a poet in general, then the successes you had here being in Columbus for the year that you've been here, and just everything that you've been able to do. What if someone is talking to you and looking up? Everybody has a place where somebody's looking up, saying, I want to be where they are. So what are you telling those people who are not yet there, who are looking to get there, who are looking to you for advice or kind of a know-how or some type of experience in order for them to get to a place where you are? What are you telling those people for advice or confidence,
Confidence, of course, but networking, you have to really humble yourself in such a way when you're starting
Yeah.
that you have to go in those spaces and perform for free. You
Yeah.
have to go to those open
Yeah.
mics,
Yeah.
and I believe wholeheartedly in being paid for your gift, but you have to start somewhere
Yeah.
because people don't know who you are. They're not just going to randomly like call you up like, hey, you want to perform for this show? You have to show your talent. You have to show your professionalism, because that's the big thing. Because just because you're a great poet does not mean you're a great professional. So I think that also comes into play. Just be humble and like show up in those spaces with humility, connect with those poets and those people who have the platforms. And that's really the start of it.
Yeah.
Be
No, that's great.
visible. Be
Yeah.
visible.
Yeah, no, that's great. The professional one is spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on. We need another hour to talk about just that.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
when is the next event?
Juneteenth. So Say Word Wednesdays, it falls on Juneteenth, which I think is so dope. So Juneteenth, we're back at it, 7 o'clock p.m. We're at 273 3rd Street at Ludi Sanatu's Art Gallery.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be a vibe. We got Tiffany Marie. She is the headlining feature. Y'all already know
Yeah,
about her.
yeah.
And then we also have 2 open mic features, and we're doing something new with that. So I'm gonna
Okay.
start doing like open mic features, just a little added touch. And we have Marmy the Grill, and then Poetically Intuitive.
Nice.
Really, really dope poets. So I'm excited for Juneteenth. So make sure y'all come out. Tickets on sale now for $10. And only $10 you get free wine. You
Yep.
can win prizes and gift cards, and we have food there.
Yep.
So definitely a good deal. And those sales are gonna end the night before the event. So and there'll be 15 at the door.
No doubt. And I'm here to tell you folks, it is a fantastic event. You will not be disappointed. I'm here to tell you firsthand. Now, how can people get in touch with you? How can they follow you? Social media, any type of contact that you want to give out?
Okay, so Instagram, I'm primarily on there, and that's at artisticgenius._. I also have links in my bio if you ever want to book me. I have forms in there, like all of my contact information that you need for booking is in my bio.
Dope, dope, dope. Listen, Artistic Genius, I appreciate you spending some time with
Yeah,
you
no doubt.
today, man. Thank you very much. You know, we are very new at our network, but I already know that this is going to blossom and be huge.
Yeah,
And
for
you
sure.
know, I wish you nothing but success in all of your events here in the city. And I will definitely be coming out to some more. I might pull up to the June. I might have to pull up to the June
You
team.
have to come through. Tiffany, listen, hey, now, Tiffany, you already you got to pull up.
Right. Got to pull up. But yeah, man, I think what you're doing, is great. And for any poet out there or inspiring poet that happens to watch this, if you need a door to be opened or if you need that safe space, this is one of those people where you can do that with, because I know sometimes just the introduction can be a little nerve-wracking, but just you don't know until you try. You just have to invest in yourself. Investing in yourself doesn't always mean money. Just introducing yourself to somebody that, it might be nerves, but you just never know what that'll cultivate. So
exactly.
go to these events, talk to these people. You have one right here came from another city and was able to, coordinate an event that is becoming popular by the event, and it's just been a year. So you're doing your doggone thing, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I love what y'all do. Y'all got a lot going on, and I'm loving it. Like, I really am. So definitely appreciate you having me.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. And remember, guys, go ahead and follow, like, subscribe on What's Your Hustle YouTube. Hit the website. Well, actually, our website is down. We will be creating some new stuff for you guys. And then the radio website will be back up shortly. But it's at always with 2 L's, alwaysworkingradio.com. But you can listen to Always Working Radio on TuneIn. So go to TuneIn, check out Always Working Radio, some of the music we have on there. And then you can follow Always Working Radio at alwaysworking_radio. Follow myself at DJ_Swamp Thing, SWMPTHING. That does it for this episode. We will see you next time. Artistic Genius, salute.
Have a good one. I appreciate you.
We gon' put in work.